All right, good evening, everyone. Full room. It's good to see everybody's faces. For the January 3rd, first meeting of 2022, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, bring us to our first order of business, which is the discussion with Hand in Hand Ministries. Come on up.
Good evening, all. Thanks for allowing me to take this opportunity to set things straight. First, let me tell you who we are and what we currently do at Hand in Hand Ministries in your community. We help serve your community by offering a free lunch to seniors 60 years and older and an affordable lunch to all for a small donation every Wednesday from 11 to 1. We also have a senior center and a senior food bank in which we offer additional support for those in need. Our thrift shop helps to maintain both of these ministries and at the moment helps to pay for any overhead incurred. This is well received by our community based on the amount of donations we receive, monetary and otherwise. Have any of you ever stopped in to see just what we do?
Yes.
Do any of you really know what your community has to offer as a whole? Is your deep concern for your community really an interest to you? Should someone receive additional food, even though they may go to the Weare food pantry, upsetting? I personally take it as a need for them. Once a month is not near enough for the amount of people we once served. If someone is hungry, I don't care who you are, you will get food. My initial thought when approached by Chief Moore and Officer Averill, I believe is his name, was that, wow, they're paying us a visit finally after a few invites. But to my dismay, as I approached them to welcome them, I was met with, I'm letting you know my body cam is on. Never mentioning their names. Now, the point of this meeting is to find out why Chief Moore and Officer Averill were misinformed that we were placing posters at businesses all around town with false information regarding the Weare food pantry with a P.O. box and a telephone number. I'm not sure what to say. Perhaps someone at the town hall can shed some light as to why the police were given information and why this person did not call us directly. Or why would they assume it was me? They asked for me specifically. I am going to assume Chief Moore did his due diligence on the information provided, and if so, who did he talk to? Could it be old posters that were never taken down? I was also forewarned by Chief Moore that if I should receive checks to the Weare food pantry, that I would not cash them. That comment, Chief Moore, is a backhanded accusation that I have cashed checks made out to the Weare food pantry. So again, did you do your due diligence? Any and all mail that has been returned or forwarded to the town hall addressed to the Weare food pantry at our current location has always been forwarded. I remind you, prior to the town office taking over the Weare food pantry, we ran it for 15 years and successfully, and we were completely closed for a year before pursuing our current mission, which is now 2.5 years young. Prior to our current ministries, any letters received for the Weare food pantry were returned to the sender inside another envelope with a letter stating the new location of the pantry and to contact the town office. We did our due diligence. This is the second time in the last 2.5 years that misinformation from the town office has brought about so-called wrongdoings for our nonprofit. This would include being brought before the Attorney General's office and then the State of New Hampshire Charitable Trust Department, in which our board, made up of volunteers, had to endure a substantial audit and interrogations to which no wrongdoings or findings were found. My question to the board is, can you tell me why this continues?
I can't. As one member, I cannot. Just trying to be
It's
honest.
the first time I've heard of this, other than the emails that have been sent out. This is the first time I've heard of any such actions. I've only been on the board for 2 years? 2 years, so if something happened prior to that, I'm not aware of it.
It's probably 2.5 years, but okay. I don't understand this, why we can't work together. Also, the Weare Food Pantry, do they even tell people what we do Wednesdays? We're feeding people. Who runs the Weare Food Pantry?
Melissa.
Melissa,
Yeah, Melissa.
Okay. So how was Chief Moore informed? He told me the town office when we spoke.
Okay. Chief, Naomi?
I can go up there.
Okay.
So I would have been more than happy to play the entire encounter on body-worn camera. I put it on thumb drive for some reason. The thumb drive will not load on the computer where I can plug it in and play it. If anybody wants to see it on their part or on you guys' part, I'll be more than happy to show it to you. There was nothing accusatory about our meeting. We are required to inform anyone when our body-worn cameras are on, every single time. If we don't, we're in violation of both internal policy and RSA. We get in trouble with the AG's office. We received a complaint forwarded us to from the AG's office, which could be a violation of RSA for fraud. When I walked in, we introduced myself, and I said this is a friendly conversation. At no time was anything accusatory. Body-worn camera will back that up. I just watched it again before I came over here. How she plays that out, once I'm done, we're done, but part of my due diligence is to ask questions. The questions I have involved the flyer. The flyer was supposed to be linked to Hand in Hand Ministries. It was quickly determined it was not. I looked at the number on the flyer. The flyer number had been disconnected. I went over to the post office. I conferred with the Postmaster General. That post office box had not been used in some time. As far as I'm concerned, the complaint is unfounded at that time, because no one, even if they wanted to donate based on the flyer, could donate because they didn't have any source where they could contact. The only two sources, since it didn't list a legitimate business, were the phone number and the post office box, and that's it. I talked to Naomi, and I talked to the owner, who was located on Hand in Hand Ministries. That's why she was spoken to, and that's what my due diligence was about, just investigating where the flyer came from and why it was causing community concern. Once we did that, we were done. It's all on body-worn camera. It was done tactfully. I'm sorry, it wasn't done tactfully. I pulled you over to the side of your business. It wasn't done in front of anybody else. And it was approached as a friendly conversation. It's on body-worn camera. Would you like to dispute that? Okay. You want to go see it? No problem. You can follow me back over to the station. I'll be happy to show it to you.
Oh, no, I actually went over there and asked. And then we received a nice letter from your secretary
Uh-huh.
that we don't have to show this to you.
No, we don't. We don't have to make you a copy. Nor do we have to show you, but I'll show it to you. More than happy to.
Wait a second. This is a small town. That's not how you treat people.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Maybe that's how you treat people.
Here you go. Would you like to get up and explain
Chief.
how you treated my employees?
Chief, please.
There you go.
Argumentative.
That's all you-
I just don't want to argue.
I'd be more than happy to.
Okay. Explain how you treated my employees when you went over there, because I'm assuming that was you.
It was, and the first thing he does is come out with no mask.
Oh,
What did I say?
he's not required to wear a mask.
Wait a second.
Chief.
It says right on the door, mask required.
No, it doesn't. When we go over there, you can look at that as well.
What business doesn't use a mask?
We don't use a mask.
Okay, so can we make the assumption that the flyer is dated? And when I mean dated, out of date.
Oh,
By the sounds of it, with the chief's findings, it's, they were dated posters, as far as to a business that a nonprofit no longer existed. In phone number and, absolutely. If you want to come back up, you can explain, 100%.
He explained to me that what he said was, what are you doing putting these posters up in all the businesses and where? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And that's when he showed me the flyer and I said, it said Weare Food Pantry, P.O. Box 284, 5290320. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea.
Was that the old phone number?
He had a picture of, they apparently went and took a picture of a poster.
But was that the old phone number?
Yeah, that was
When they were down on
Year-
East
years
Mills?
ago,
in,
years
on
ago.
the hill,
Right, years ago.
right.
Right.
That
Three-
was the
3 to
phone
4
number.
years ago,
That
whatever.
was the number from when we were at the school. That was the number from when we were on the
Okay.
hill. Where else were we?
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
those two places. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so it's pretty safe to assume that the poster was posted years ago and posted over and came back out and
We're never gonna take
was
it
never
down.
taken down.
It was never taken down,
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But his thing was, why are you posting these in all the businesses and where? And I'm like, I don't know where you're coming from. I have no idea. That's an old poster.
Okay.
It was after me, but
And you've taken that down, right?
I took it down, and that's not what body cam would show either.
Okay, I just want to make sure that.
did it, so what businesses?
I just
uh,
want to make sure that the posters were taken down.
Okay,
How many
If-
posters are we talking?
I only found one at the post office.
Oh.
And it had several items over top of it tacked up. It could still be seen, but
Well,
it was
somebody
obviously
sent us
old.
an email of one at Country Three Corners, so you couldn't have worked too hard.
All right. Okay. All right, I just want to,
I was just curious
the full
as to
picture,
what
that's all.
all the businesses were because,
I just want to get the full
I
picture,
didn't.
that's all.
Peggy,
Okay.
Peggy, can I just ask a quick question? You said something about the Attorney General's office, or?
yeah, that was brought, we were, back when we, I think it was 19,
Oh, in 2019?
yes.
Okay. I thought you were just talking about just recently.
No,
No,
before,
you guys knew about that
Yeah.
because we talked about the laptop and the shelving.
Right.
When we took over, we asked for the laptop that was purchased by the trustees and some shelving that was purchased in their minutes. And the guy from the AG's office said, just let it go. So
I'm
that's
pre- I'm
how,
pretty sure
that's
we
how
gave
we,
monies
you,
to the
you, yes,
trustee.
you ended up, there was some analysis of depreciation, and there was a check cut back to the trustees. But that's the first contact, but you guys we had a conversation long before that.
Yeah.
Meaning, that's how we got involved with you the first time, because when we took over,
oh yeah, we were
we had
looking for a
wanted-
place.
right, we had wanted that asset to the computer, instead we put one down there. But that's where the first contact a few years ago was with the AG's office. And you guys all knew about that,
Yeah.
we all
Right.
met with
No,
you
I
guys.
just
I'm
was
pretty
Long
soon-
before
I'm
you
pretty sure that
departed
was
company, we
19.
met with
Yeah.
you guys.
Yeah, late 18, 19
I'm pretty sure it was
neighborhood.
2019, mid,
Yeah.
somewhere in
Right, and
there.
we talked about depreciation
remember
and the
that.
check was
Yeah,
cut.
yeah.
But
I do
that's,
remember that.
that's the
I do remember
conversation we had.
conversation we had here.
After they closed and we started.
Right.
But that involved him because
But
I
that
asked
also
about that.
came from the town office.
Well, we asked about what other items were purchased by the trustees. And that's where the laptop and the shelving had come about, because it was in their minutes. Because you approached the trustees for money
Yeah.
out of Emma Sawyer for a laptop and shelving, and where you weren't gonna be doing it anymore we just thought we would have that as part of our base too, and that didn't happen, but it resolved by you writing us back a check and you kept the whatever shelves in the laptop. That came about with Tom Donovan at the AG's office.
Yes.
And I don't remember the year, but that's how the whole first conversation started with us and them and the AG, was over the laptop and the shelving.
Okay.
Right. I think it started at this, I think there was a,
It was
Quite-
before,
Yeah.
we had meetings here together.
like I say, we had big group meetings at this table.
We
I remember,
did.
I remember those.
Right.
I remember a couple of
Before
those.
you actually closed down there to see what we could do.
Right. Right,
Yeah, because you were here.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, we all sat around this table.
Yeah, I remember
without a
coming in
camera
for
on.
that.
yeah.
So, that was the AG's office. Okay.
That's how the AG was involved in that point, because of the fact of
You were
the
questioning it.
whole. Right, because
Right.
we were gonna take it over, and there was minutes that the trustees paid for stuff. We wanted to make sure we got everything that was ours. That's how the whole conversation, and then Tom said it'd been years in the making, so just, and you guys cut, I don't remember what the check was, but it was depreciated over the years, and
Yeah.
we gave the check back to the trustees.
Regardless.
What was the amount of money for, do you remember, Bob?
I don't remember.
So, in my mind, it was quite a few years ago, I think we got, so what we did, we went out and bought a computer and some shelving.
Yep.
And submitted it to the trustees.
Right.
And gave us a check to reimburse. It was very nice of them. And I thought it was the hand in hand. I thought it was their.
It was hand in hand that
their
approached the,
laptop.
that's what it was.
The discussion
Okay.
was, no, because it was the town.
Because we used it for the Weare Food Pantry,
Okay,
Right.
but the check was actually to hand in hand.
and,
Yeah, so it was,
okay.
so it depreciated, we took the value of it was.
Of the shelving
Yeah,
and
The life
what-
was like 5 years.
Right.
So we had it for 3 years, so.
I'm gonna think it was like $500. I think we got something like $500
I think it was,
back.
yeah, $500, check for $500 something.
Yeah, okay. All right. I just want to get the background on the
Yeah.
AG
So,
involvement, that's all. So,
so Peggy, maybe you should explain that, what you're actually doing over there. I mean, I know you're giving
just
a
did.
free lunch.
She did at the
did.
beginning.
We
That's
did,
just it,
yeah,
yeah.
we did, we have the free lunch every Wednesday from 11 to 1. Free to seniors, 60 and older, and anybody else can come. They can make a small donation, or they don't have to make a donation.
Okay.
And then we have the senior center, where we offer things for seniors to do, and then we have a senior food bank, which is utilized by people that come in, who are 60 and older, and it's being used.
And 60% of the people downstairs are 60 and over that come to us too.
Yep. And how often is she open?
Well, we're here all day long. I mean,
Yeah.
she's advertised for once a month, but that doesn't mean, I mean, we've helped people during the week because we have keys to go downstairs. So
And people
it's-
actually come in?
Yeah, they'll say, I'm out of food, can you help me? And I'll go down and get my keys in a bag and 2 bags or whatever they need.
Perfect.
Yeah, so that's, it, we were staying here and nobody was coming. So she moved it down to 2 weeks, and only 1 week was really the week we needed. But in between, people have come here before Christmas, and it's not even a question. We take them downstairs, I don't ask. I don't tell them to provide paperwork. It's a very simple process, because I feel the same way. We have a community to feed. That's why we took over when you guys stopped.
Yeah, so they
have a
don't have to
community
fill
to
out
feed.
they don't have to fill out an application?
Not if they come and tell me they need food, I just take them downstairs.
Perfect.
You know, because they're already so emotionally messed, you know that. So they come in needing food, I'm not gonna say no. So we do it during the week if they can't make that time.
So who
But it-
does the town website? Who does the town website as far
Well,
as putting?
Karen, myself, anybody can, there's
Okay.
several people. can.
I'd like to be added to that, Hand in Hand Ministries.
Oh, and for
Breaking-
the organizations?
The Breaking Bread Cafe, yeah. Please.
Yeah, so what you would, do you have a logo? Because I think we have
Yeah, we
logos
do.
attached. So if you email Karen the logo and the link, I think that's how we did it. I did that with the Boy Scouts. It's been a
Link to
little
the
while.
website and link to the Facebook page?
Yeah, now that we're on Facebook, that's an area I don't have one myself. It's kind of the dark side, but that's how I feel. But I know we can link to a website. I don't know about Facebook with a computer, with the Facebook. I mean, you can obviously hop on and we can link you together on the Facebook page.
Or like you said, if it's
But I stay
your
away from
logo
Facebook.
on there with
Yeah, we
what
have
it is underneath of
cards.
it, click
Yeah.
on it, goes to your page.
Because that's what
I'm
we
sure
did with
you
the
have
Boy
links to
Scouts,
there.
just, it's been a little while, so I'm a little rusty with it, but I think Karen can do it faster than I can.
Karen,
Nelson.
okay,
Yep.
she's on there?
Yep, so if you email her with that, and then, I mean, if you just mention Facebook, she's been doing it way more than me, the Facebook. I
Okay,
haven't done the Facebook.
all right, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
I'd like to, how about if we all look at the video next time, you wanna do that? or you
That's,
wanna
that's
do-
fine, if we can work out the technical difficulties.
Yeah, no, that won't be a problem.
Okay, yeah,
So our next meeting, though, is 2 weeks from tonight.
That's fine.
okay, yeah.
So I mean, but you have a public hearing scheduled for the budget?
I
So
don't,
do you want to do it like a few minutes beforehand, so we're not
Yeah.
interrupting?
yeah, I don't think it's not that long, is it?
No, 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we can afford the 5
Yeah,
minutes,
that's fine.
absolutely, yeah.
That's fine.
Perfect.
So the big question was, at the end was, because we just want to resolve this.
Bob, can you come up to the mic, please? Just so they can hear us, that's all.
So my taking, she sent me a copy of what she was gonna say, but the big question is, why does this continue going on? We feel like we have to look over our shoulder all the time. We don't feel like we do anything wrong. I did find one of those posters that he found, over at Country Three Corners. It was buried with other things on top of it. And I remember I had those made, I think it was 2017.
Yeah, I can
And I had a
say.
fundraiser at a time, and she went out and posted them here and there. I thought we took them all down. I looked at Langtot's, I looked at some other stuff. I looked at the bank, so I looked at all the places I thought they might be. I found one at Country 3, I left it in my office. But we did get some monetary donations and some food, but like the envelopes would come into our P.O. box. We had left it open for like 30 days or something. And so I wouldn't even open up the envelope. I knew who it was, the locals, who they donate, and I just put another envelope and I had drafted a letter. And the letter said, no, it's being done. I gave the address here with the phone number. So it seemed to work out well. I think they continued donating, to the town for that. But, we just wanted to know who, is there somebody against us trying to do things?
Well,
Should we approach them and just kind of see if we can come to a resolution, how we can help them and they can help us?
Right, and I think in listening to this, and I'm only one member speaking, is it sounds like it was a huge misunderstanding. At the end of the day, the posters were old, they were still visible,
Yeah.
and then it was, all right, well, what's going on here? Let's try and figure it out. That's why the chief got involved,
Yeah.
and here we are. I honestly feel that there's no malice from anybody handing him towards anybody. Like you said, you're putting him in an envelope, going to the right place, notifying the senders, the donators, whoever they may be. If it was to the pantry, you're doing your due diligence. And again, we need more people like you guys in town, willing to give back to the town. So I don't know, Bob, to answer your question, I don't know how to put it behind us, I'll say.
Well, like Chief Moore, it was your duty to come over and talk to Peggy, but how do you get your orders, because you're the top man in the department, but how do you get your orders, to go take care of this? Did somebody put in the complaint? Did you get a phone call? I thought you said the AG's office asked you to come over and
So
talk
it
to
was
us.
an email from the that I was forwarded from the AG office, that if something was occurring, it could be fraud. But again, at no time during my conversation was I accusatory toward them.
Okay.
Which body worn
So-
camera will
so
show.
somebody-
It was just a gathering of information.
Yeah, so somebody had
Contacted the AGs.
contacted, really?
That's what it sounds like. Sounds like.
Interesting.
So you have a name, right, because obviously it was an email. Okay, so we can see all that,
No.
again.
No,
So
anyone
might
has the
continue-
right to bring a complaint without, only if it goes to court do you have a right to face your accuser.
No,
And
no, what
this-
I'm
this is
saying
done.
is, so when you got a complaint, you went around and you looked at these posters, how many did you find?
I only found one.
And that was,
The post
and.
office.
and
Post
so
office.
how did
That was
you-
at the post office. Is that what you were asking?
Yeah.
Yeah, post office.
Okay, so that's all, we just wanted to know who it was, not to bring accusations or bring them to court or anything, just to sit down and see how can we help them, and, what is it that, maybe they could find out more about what we're doing, what we're really doing, Yeah, that's all. Okay. So that's really what the meeting was for.
I think, I think a link with us will help, because there is confusion to, I mean, there's people that come in not knowing that there's two things, you know what I mean?
Right.
So we have a community of 10,000 people, so it's tough to keep everybody under wraps. But I think if we link each other together, they'll see that we work together maybe.
There's a line,
That would be the positive.
right, exactly.
Right.
There's a line between, but everybody's working together.
Yeah,
This
that's
is
what
you
I'm-
guys, this is the pantry, but everybody's working together on this.
And I'm just gonna clarify one more thing. The confusion is the poster, because the poster's not linked to any legitimate business, including the Weare Food Pantry. Per the AG's office, they're referred to as the Weare Community Food Pantry, and you guys are a whole bunch of organizations.
Hand in hand, yeah.
The flyer only said the
And it was
Weare Food Pantry, not the Weare Community Food Pantry. So we didn't know if it was them, we didn't know if it was you guys, we were just, hey, does this belong to anybody? Which was the base of my conversation with you.
We were the Weare Community Food Pantry years ago.
Right, but that's how it's actually listed according to AG's office. Where Community Food Pantry is here in Town Hall. That flyer said the Weare Food Pantry, and there is, according to AG's office, there is no business, which is why it would be fraud, because if anybody was getting donation based on that business name, that's not a legitimate business.
And anybody, not just you guys, but anybody
Correct.
taking money under that name.
Well, then I
Yeah.
started to think, somebody's putting it up, maybe they have the P.O. box now, or,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
Is there another third party that's trying to collect money? now?
Exactly.
I think that was the confusion.
So that's where I went to Naomi for her input, I went to you for your input, since we know you guys are the only
4 or 5 years ago.
food pantries in town, and that's what kind of led me over to the bank. I'd already been to the bank, but to the post office, and when the postmaster said that post office box hadn't been used, well, those are the only two ways you could even contribute based on that flyer, so obviously it had to be old.
Right.
And I was done.
And the other, I mean, they shared me your email. The TD Bank, when they did theirs, there was no money collected, because she said I can't open an account, and then,
So it was
so
only,
the bank told me there was no funds collected, but we did divide the food, which we did. But there was no actual money collected at TDB. At least that's what they told me, because we didn't see any. Yeah, we didn't see any either, so I asked,
Okay.
because I didn't see any money, so I asked the bank, I'm like, was there any money? And she said, no, we didn't collect money, just donations.
Okay.
And she said, and we divided, and I said, I understand that, I'm on board, but there was a question about money in the first email.
I think so was,
If there
yes.
was money, you didn't get it, which nobody got it, there wasn't any, according to the bank. So,
Well,
just to
that's-
let you know that.
That's good. It's good to know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that things are a little clearer than they were before.
2 weeks from now?
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
come up, if you can, 6, can you guys do 6?
Yeah,
I can try.
I can try, that's really
Why don't we
tight.
try to gather at 6 and see what we can do?
Yeah,
Because we've got a public hearing
We
that
start
night.
at 6:30, right?
Usually, that's why I said, can
Yeah.
they start at
It's
6?
only gonna take 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
right, exactly, yeah.
15 even.
Yeah.
20
Okay.
after 6 or something?
That's
Yeah,
fine,
yeah, we'll start 1:15 or something,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, we'll start 1:15,
okay.
so, all right. Well, thank you all for coming in.
Thank you.
You're
Much
more than welcome to
appreciated.
stay if you choose, but
Yeah, it's very captivating, I know.
4:30.
Are you
Yeah,
gonna-
I know the feeling, trust me. But,
Or, I mean, I have a draft. if
all right,
you take it. You only have one anyway.
public
You only have
comment.
one anyway.
John's up.
What are we at? I'm sorry.
Public comment.
Yeah, I'm John Lawton, Oak Hill Road.
We met you once or twice.
I'm here basically to speak, after watching the last meeting you had, the 27th of December. Naomi, toward the end of the meeting, brought up she had a request from a resident of town about the Conservation Commission and trails and so forth. I believe I was a resident she's talking about. So I'm here tonight to try to convince you that perhaps you ought to, again, look at that decision you made at that meeting. I've been a resident of town a little over 43 years now, and over those 43 years, the Conservation Commission has come to the town meeting and requested either money or the authorization to spend money to acquire land. And they've acquired a lot of land. And it's not only conservation, there's other organizations that have got conservation lands in town, but according to the 2005 master plan, there's over 5,770 acres in conservation land right now. And the 16 years since that time, we've added hundreds of more acres. So we're talking about over 10 square miles of the town of Weare that's in conservation, okay? Out of that 10 square miles, or over 6,000 acres of land, very small amount of that land has got trails on it for people to go. I mean, I think Farron Pond is one, and I don't believe anything in the Conservation Commission had anything to do with making those trails. And the other one would be the Buxton one up here. Although the Buxton, I've walked those trails aren't great. I mean, you could get lost pretty easily. I mean, if it wasn't a guided tour we were on, I'm not sure I would have made it out of there. And the thing about what the Conservation Commission, you know, if you look at their mission statement on the webpage, this is their mission statement now. This is not their bylaws, but their mission statement is to assure, wait a minute, okay, the first thing they say, to assure conservation land area are available to all Weare residents and respectful and for respectful and courteous recreational use. Now, there's nothing in their bylaws stating that they have to make trails, but this is on their mission statement on their webpage. If you go to that webpage also, there's a list of some of the town parcels of land that are under conservation use. I'll give you just two of them. There's Wolf Creek, and the third bullet down is hunting, fishing, hiking, botanical observation, wildlife observation are important functions of the town forests. And the properties will be managed and maintained to enhance these recreational opportunities. That was for Wolf Creek and Toby Hill, both of which neither have trails on them at this point. And those were back in 2000, I forget the actual date, I haven't got the dates, but it's been 10 years or so for most of them. So the Conservation Commission gets their funding 75%, as I believe it, 75% of the current use penalty tax when people take money out of their current use, and 100% of the timber harvest money they get. And that can vary from year to year. It can be a lot some years and maybe not so much the next year. I would like to propose that that there be a Trails Commission or a committee or whatever you want to call it set up. It could be an independent committee. I don't think it has to be a subcommittee necessarily either under conservation. I definitely don't think I want it under conservation. It could be under Parks and Rec, but if they are not willing to, I don't know why it couldn't be a standalone thing. And to fund that committee by taking 25% of the current use penalty tax from conservation and funding the Trails Committee with that. In other words, the Conservation Commission would go from 75% to 50%. And then the 25% of the current use penalty tax would go to fund the Trails Commission. Now, what I would do also, because you never know how much money they accumulate, I would probably have a max accumulation of that fund at $50,000. Anytime they go above $50,000, that money either goes back to the general fund or it goes back into the conservation fund or whatever, just so we don't have some astronomical amount of money sitting out there. And I know, John, you had mentioned the fact that you don't know who would give the authority to expend money. Well, my idea on this would be that the Trails Committee would have the authorization to expend up to like $5,000 a year for consultants to come in and help them develop plans for trails on these parcels of land. The plan, once it's developed through these consultants and the committee, would have to go before the voters at the town meeting for finalization vote. I mean, because obviously it's going to cost money to do this if you're going to bring in outside people to do this. And so that would be my belief on that.
Okay.
It's just that it's frustrating year after year after year. They come before the town, and I know I've spoken about this many times, and I know other people have too. You know, it's great that and I'm not against them acquiring land. It's not like I'm saying, no, we don't need to have this land. it's my frustration is that we don't, the land gets locked up and put away and forgotten about. Nobody ever gets to use it. And so my frustration, is going on years after year after year, and nothing ever gets done. And I don't believe that the Conservation Commission ever has any inclination to ever develop these parcels. I know you say we made an agreement with them in 2 years, they'd come back for this one parcel of land they just acquired, that they'd come back with some kind of a plan for trails. What if they don't? And they probably won't, because they never have in the past. So why would they do anything different now? What's the penalty? There is no penalty. And now we've kicked the can down the road 2 more years. We still haven't got any trails done. So I just think it's time we get off the schneid on this and develop a trails committee, give them the authorization to go ahead and do this land by bringing in consultants, and let them do it, the right way. These are environmentalists that would, make sure the trails aren't going through endangered species of things and so forth and so on. So that's my take on it, and I would, in my retirement ages now, I do a lot of walking, and one of my routes is a 5-mile route I do down. It goes down a lot through New Boston and comes back out into Weare again. And on that 5-mile route, I go by 5 conservation areas in New Boston. All 5 of those conservation areas have signage. It tells you the Dodge this, or the Saunders Hills this, or whatever. Big sign, nice sign. So you know where they are. 3 of those, not only do they have signage, they have trails, they have parking. They have a little mailbox. You open the mailbox up, you take out, there's a site map of what's going on, what the trail is on there. On the trail, they have little markers. They're in either blue, yellow, green, depending what color they do, and they have numbers on them. So if you were to break your leg and you could crawl to a marker and say, oh, I'm at green 106, you could call the rescue and say, well, I'm at the Saunders Hill Conservation Area, Saunders Pasture Conservation Area, I'm at marker 106. They know exactly where you are. They could go right there and pick you right up. Not only that, but the Saunders Hill is an amazing little thing, because they got signs they post and they put on trees. Oh, this is a white pine tree. They give you a Latin name for that, and they give you a little bit of splurb about what the white pine's all about, and they go over here, here's a white oak tree, and so forth. They do that throughout. They're very, very good. Now, I know we're not New Boston. New Boston must be way up here, some reason, but three of the areas, they have beautiful trails, and they're all marked and they're maintained. Now, I think another question came up, well, we got to maintain these trails. That would be out of the funding that I'm proposing we do, out of the percentage to maintain those trails. I think we got some big, and I realize we got a lot of parcels of land in town, and it's probably going to be almost impossible to put trails on all those in any near future. But we got some big parcels that don't have any trails. That Eastman property that goes up behind the high school, was 600-700 acres of land there. There's no trails really outside of some logging trails that were there before the land was bought. But I mean, there's a good parcel. We got the Felch Farm down by the town dump, another big parcel of land. No trails. Why can't we put trails on those pieces of property, So I'm just, it's a little frustrating. We just keep kicking the can down the road and nothing's ever getting done. And it's just, I would like to have you rethink that. I think it would become much more saleable, I think, if the selectmen were to put that article on and have somebody like me or somebody go out and put that article on. I think it would tell the people there's probably some importance to this, and I think it would behoove you to go ahead and try to do it. And I would just hope you would reconsider what your thoughts were on that, okay? That's basically all I got to say.
Okay, thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Tom?
I'd just like to support what John said. Actually, I think that's been a need for a long time. There is a nice trail in the Eastman Forest. It was a scout project. If you go to the top of Pine Hill and park there, it's about a mile walk out to a beaver pond. And just you come out of the parking area near the top of Pine Hill, down a little hill, and then off to your right. And there's a beaver pond out there, and it's well marked with little reflectors. And then there's a cutoff from that trail that brings you up to the high school athletic fields as well, so you could well, I walked up that trail and then around the track and back home. So there are a couple of trails up there now. And at one time, I thought the Conservation Commission had set up a trails committee, but then it never went anywheres. And also, I thought that at one point we're going to have somebody come in and lay out stuff with GPS, particularly in the Eastman area. But again, it hasn't gone anywheres, as John was saying. And I think it's a real need for the town because, you know, the Fair and Pond Trail, nice trail, goes up, circles the pond, back, the Buxton Trail, as he mentioned. But other than that, and the ones that I just mentioned, that's about it. And I'd like to see something done, too.
Yeah, Poor Farm Trail, too.
Dick?
Good evening, Richard Butt. Following on the same theme, I just want to talk a little bit about funding and the amount of money that would be available if you took 25% of the existing money that's going into conservation, which is 75% of the current use tax. I just did the last 2 years. In 2000 on the town reports, on the 2000 town report, there was $51,090 put into the conservation fund. 25% of that, as part of this proposal, would be $12,000. We're not looking at big chunks of money. And in 2019, there's $54,777 that represented the 75%, and 25% of that would be $13,694. You know, I would, and John and I have met with conservation over the years and talked about trails and signage, some really basic stuff. You know, trails could be involved. I mean, you could be spending $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 for a trail master to come in, lay out a trail. I believe the new parcel that was just purchased doesn't have any trails in it, from what I understand. But there are parcels out there, the Woods Family Forest, Eastman, there are trails in there. But tell me where they are. Have somebody drive down the road and tell me where put them within 100 yards of the entrance of those properties and ask them where it is, and they wouldn't be able to tell you. There's no signs whatsoever. They should be out on the main roads. And also provisions for parking. I mean, I would settle for that at this point, is to just get some basic signage out there and a parking area. You're looking at, based on those two numbers, $20,000 roughly, a little over, in 2 years. That's a start, but you need to start now. Like it was said earlier, we've been talking about this for years, and Selectman Meany did bring it up as an issue with this latest parcel, and thank him for bringing it to light. But there are some issues here relative to how you do it. It's not something that an article could be put on there by citizens, because there's some technical issues. One is that in the year 2000, they created I was on the Finance Committee at the time, and the Finance Committee member actually created modified the warrant article to allow for 75% of current use money to go into the conservation fund. So there's already a fund established, and it's already a vote was taken and approved that put 75% in there. In order to put an article on the warrant that uses 25% of that fund,
You gotta change that.
I think you got to go in and change that to 50%. And then you got to create another article to create
A new fund.
a new fund, 25% for, specifically for trails, parking, signage, however you want to word it. And it probably should not go, reading conservation minutes, they were even trying to set up a meeting with Park and Rec for them to take over that responsibility. They don't feel as though they're, this is in their minutes, a recreation commission. And I'm not belittling them or demeaning them in any way. I mean, they do a great job with getting conservation land, lots of it. And maybe it needs to reside somewhere else where there's a group of people that are responsible and have some funding. The big thing is funding. There was a Trails Committee, and it kind of, for whatever reason, it just doesn't exist anymore. It never did. I don't know how long it existed for. But you've got to have a resource in order for a committee to be successful. They've got to know there's money available to do certain things. You know, basic signage and parking. I mean, I'd be happy to see some of that. So that's all I have on that. I just have one other point I'd like to make. I don't know if my 5 minutes are up. But the transfer station, issues with the building down there. I was disappointed on two levels. One is that the money for that facility upgrade is not coming out of the government building and maintenance fund. When I was selectman and on the capital improvements plan committee, we created that fund. It was created to provide for this type of use, to use money in support of a renovation, a repair to an existing building. And that's what this is. So I'm disappointed that it wasn't the money for that facility upgrade, which is anywhere from $6,000 to $10,000. I don't know what the number is, or $4,000 to $6,000. Isn't coming out of that fund. That's why the fund was created. Seems like a natural fit. But I'm equally disappointed that it didn't even come up as part of the discussion. It didn't come up as part of the discussion. I didn't hear anyone say, well, wait, we got the government building and maintenance fund. Isn't that what it's for? Instead, you're taking money out of surplus to cover that cost. I don't think that's right. Thanks.
Thank you, Dick. Brian?
Frank Campana, at the risk of continuing the agony, in a sense. My comment centers around your Selectmen 21st, your meeting of the 21st, and I was here for only the first part of it. If you recall, that meeting was when the folks were here from the communications. Okay, and this, my comment is not centered around that, it's just to give you a reference. I did listen to the police chief. He got up, and this was the start of the departments asking for encumbering money, year-end expenses from budget surplus. And several things concern me about, I had to spend a lot of time going through the YouTube. Like I say, I was not here for that. So I hope I got it right, what I wrote down. It took me a long time. One statement, well, first statement, he said, which I agree with probably, because I don't know the facts. He hasn't done much. I haven't done much in the year/previous, kind of mixed together, in the previous years. There was a $168,000 surplus in his budget this year due to staffing shortage. Well, this is not the first year that the department has, in fact, he even stated that first year, he has a new person, and this is the first year since the police chief started that he has a full complement of cops. So you know that gone through many years of budget of salary money that has been unspent. So I agree with him on that. Then he went on 2020, 136,000 surplus in his budget. 2019, which he states was his first year here, $199,000. So he was setting up this statement here. I definitely try to take care of the taxpayers' funding of our department and not use it unnecessarily. Right. Well, that has a lot of legitimacy to it, but it also raises a question in my mind, what in the police department would be a unnecessary expense? A trip somewhere? To go to a conference that maybe he doesn't attend? I'm not accusing, that's happened way in the past. So I really take that kind of as more a political statement, feel-good statement to the, to the public. Second, because the budget hasn't passed since I've been here, this was in regards to shortages that he hasn't had to buy, hasn't been able to buy things. Well, don't forget, he had $136,000 left over, most of it due to unfunded salary line. I have serious equipment needs.
because funding wasn't there. Another political, you know, okay, so funding's not there. You have $136,000 left over, you know, you could have taken some for something that's serious neglect of equipment. That hasn't been done. Not implemented a 5-year life cycle management process because the budget keeps failing, all right? You know, it's turned into a woe, and not necessarily just his department, but it's turned into a woe is me, all right? You folks back, again, on the 21st, it was, and that's when you started, again, started going over, you know, requests for purchasing orders and all, and I'm aware of the time here. It was estimated for $358,000, and it was stressed that was a conservative amount. I don't know what it ended up being. So what you did, I requested, and Naomi provided me, a printout of what the 2000, the requests for money, you know, from the different departments. And I was a little surprised that through all this, you had two periods of discussions. You never had anything in front of you. Okay, you were relying on Naomi, and I'm not being critical, Naomi, but you were relying on Naomi to provide you the information. X amount of dollars for this, X amount of dollars for that. Maybe you made some of your own notes. I don't know. But, I mean, to ask for a total of better than $277,000 in spending of budget surplus, you know, that for this year, that the taxpayers will never get, and they didn't even get it when you set the tax rate. I mean, that's a lot of money. So what the taxpayers might expect, I did the subtraction from 350. I'm using the 358 as a round number. Again, that could be a little bit different, but I was using the 277. All right, the taxpayers ended up, out of a $358,000 budget surplus, the taxpayers ended up with $81,000 that they might get back next tax rate. Right? They might get back. Now, I'm going to say this again, and it probably won't be the last time. I go back to Sherry Burdick's comment when you set the tax rate. Well, it's only 4 cents. All right? But it's 4 cents in your favor, not in my favor. So, you know, this spending at the year end, I mean, it's great, you know, but it's certainly going to help the budgets for next year and coming up. And it's certainly not going to help the default budget. In fact, that money, that surplus, was actually with the default budget. Again, I understand it was with personnel, okay, and that may not happen again that much. I don't know. But there are many other areas in the current, well, it's not the current budget, ending in December, of the default budget that you folks have never taken advantage, and you folks and some before you, have never taken advantage of looking at a default budget and saying, well, we can adjust that down. All right? Because I know what the answer is. You're sticking to the law. All right? Well, for me, you guys are asking me for my tax money, you're spending my tax money, and to me, you are the law. I don't give a rat's rear end. You know, I'm embarrassed I said that. I don't care what the state says, all right? You guys are the law, and you can adjust budgets up and down, and you don't do it. So that's it, and I know my time is over. Thanks, I appreciate it.
What?
No. Any other public comment?
Just have a quick clarification. When you set the tax rate, there was a pretty substantial amount of money that was used to offset it. It was like $600,000?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that should be on the record. That $600,000 of the undesignated fund balance was used to help offset the tax rate this year.
Any other public comment? Okay. It was mentioned a couple times in passing. This board decided that public comment will be limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Because it was kind of decided in the tail end of the meeting, I really didn't enforce it this time, just because it hadn't been publicly spoken. So, but now that it has, there's a 5-minute per speaker limit for time on public comment. If your topic is gonna go over that, you can call Naomi and we can put you on the agenda. We can make an agenda item, so. Thank you. All right, and we'll move on to the library warrant article discussion.
Please set up a PowerPoint here. You got a copy of the proposed warrant article?
Okay. Other side.
Just one sheet.
I got quite a few, I was gonna say.
Leave them there for Clay.
Vicky. Okay, my name is Clay Creasy. I'm the director of the Weare Public Library. I appreciate you seeing me this late. I was out a few weeks ago for illness. I don't have to tell you which one, but I think you know. Okay. So let's talk about inflation, huh? Let's lighten the mood. It's lots of fun, right? Right. I think you all know what inflation is. Okay, so here is a study from the Penn Wharton University of Pennsylvania. I'm going to read the whole study. No, I'm not. So they say they estimate that inflation in 2021 will require the average U.S. household to spend around $3,500 more in 2021 to achieve the same level of consumption of goods and services as in recent previous years. So $3,500 on average per household is what is going to be required to keep up the same level of consumption in goods and services. Okay, so why is this happening? Is this due to some, maybe some supply chain issues? Is this transitory? No, look at this. This is the United States money supply. Look how much it's gone up. Wow, since January 2020 through November last year, it has gone up 37%. No wonder everything's more expensive. I mean, that's $5.5 trillion increase. You think the Fed could just make this go away by snapping their fingers? No, I'm sorry, this is not going away. All right, let's talk about libraries now. This is all going to tie in somehow. Okay, so the average New Hampshire Public Library, they serve an average population of 6,700 residents. So we got like there's the big library right there on the left, that's the Dover one. We got some smaller libraries, like there's the Kingston one. It's kind of cute on the right. So our population is about 8,900, so we're a little above average as far as the population we serve. So, an adult services or circulation librarian, how much do they make per hour worked? This is the state average. Now, I'm just looking at libraries that service populations between 5,000 and 11,000 persons. On average, an adult services librarian can expect to make $16, is currently making $16.61. Whoa, what did I just push? How did that happen? I guess I'm a little nervous, so you know the twitchy fingers. Anyway, Meridian, not a big area served, about $21. That's the picture of the Meridian Library there. Converse, about $21 an hour. Same thing with East Kingston, another small town. Now, Goffstown is, they serve a population twice as large as us. But still, their adult services librarian makes $23 an hour. It's just down the road, so I thought they were worth including. Newport, $6,000 person population, $25 an hour. Now, how much do we make? How much does our adult services librarian make per hour? Well, we have two, and one of them has been with us for 29 years. I mean, that's like, you know, we're talking about the Barcelona Olympics, we're talking about Ross Perot. Remember that? All the way back. Yeah, so she's been with us that long. She's making $15.43 an hour. We have one who's been with us 11 years, and she is making $11.60 an hour. Let's move on to children's services. All right, so this is a children's librarian. So the New Hampshire state average is 1963. New Boston, which again I think is worth comparing because it's not far from here, easy travel distance, their children's librarian makes almost $24 an hour. Wolfboro, $24 an hour. I'm Plaistow, right? That's it? How's that?
Plastow.
Darn it. I was told to
Close.
get it right. Okay. Okay, 26 hour almost. Amherst, $30 an hour. Wow. And now, you know, yeah, they're bigger than us a little bit, but still, you know, that's quite a bit. Because how much does our children's librarian make? She's been with us 12 years. She makes $16.29 an hour. Okay, young adult services librarian. This young adult is like teen, is like a teen librarian. Librarian for teens, teen materials and collection. Okay, the New Hampshire state average is $21 an hour. Tufton Borough, again, another small town, 21. Meredith is $24 an hour. Jaffrey, 25. Stratham, which is a picture of the Wigan Memorial Library that's in Stratham, like almost $27 an hour. Ours, who's been with us 11 years, makes $14.09. So here is the proposal that I make. Shall the town raise an appropriate to the sum of $6,047 to cover the cost of increase of the hourly wages of the Weare Public Library staff by $1 for each employee. This represents wages, payroll taxes, the New Hampshire system contributions for 9 months. If approved, this addition would become part of the annual budget with an estimated annual cost of $8,060. So that's an increase yearly for our taxpayers of $8,060. So if you average that out, that's a little less than $1 per resident of Weare. I'm talking about $1 per hour per employee. So that would bring, I'm just going to go through this quickly. That brings up the adult services, children's services, and young adult services librarian $1. So you can see what the new pay per hour would be. And my salary, however, will stay the same. So I'm making $54,000 and I wish I had $54,000 an hour. $54,000 a year, it will stay the same at about $54,000 a year. So I have two questions for the residents of Weare. How much do you value your library? And my next question is it worth on average about an extra $1 per year? Now, I can't answer that for you, but it is my job to ask, however, that given this lack of compensation and combine that with the extreme inflationary pressures and our labor shortage, how will we compete? I mean, not only with other libraries, but with thousands of other regional businesses. And I'm sure you've seen the signs. How can we compete? Because this is not just about the next year. We're talking about recruiting and building and maintaining and motivating for the best skills and experience and talent for the decades to come. All right, any questions? No?
I think you explained yourself pretty well.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Plenty of information.
Yeah. All right.
The board members have any questions for?
I have no questions.
You guys have to approve for it to be on the,
Warrant?
you have to vote for it to be on the warrant?
Warrant article?
You do?
Yeah, it's a consensus,
Oh, okay,
so.
okay.
I think you made a very compelling argument.
All right, thank you.
I agree,
Yeah.
so.
Anybody want one of these? Those are the warrant articles.
Draft.
First draft. It's very draft, a lot of it's blank.
I see that.
So the first is always, tells you when your first session is and your second session is. And, then Article 1 is always the election of officers.
Right.
2, the planning board is going to be having one loan amendment.
Okay.
They're gonna finalize that on the 13th, so that's Article 2. So the operating budget starts with 3, which you haven't seen that in its totality yet. So,
Right.
let's move on to page 3. I just followed kind of last year's. We picked and choose article, non-union raises. I just plugged that in at 3%. Now it's up to you guys. I know there's only 3 of you tonight, but, library wages, I had the opportunity of having this ahead of time, so this is already in here.
Oh, handy that.
Yeah, so handy that. So that's just as he said. Parks and Rec is also doing the same thing. Parks and Rec, it's probably a little less than that. It's per hour for the kids.
Now, with Parks and Rec, though, it's seasonal, so it's not the 9-month full year cost. That is the yearly cost right there,
Right.
because it's seasonal.
That's what it says, yeah.
Okay, right. I just want to
Yeah,
clarify
and then
that.
that's giving each of them $1 more.
Yep.
Just to clarify on that one, does that include the director? Or is that only the returning part-timers?
Says returning staff.
So only the returning
Returning staff,
part-timers?
Just returning.
Okay, just making sure.
They brought it forward in their proposed budget.
Yes, it
but
says
you had
return.
asked them to pull it out.
It says returning, yes,
Okay,
sorry.
just making sure.
Yep. So then we'll hop down to the next one, and if you have any further questions, Chief Azina can take over. This is the fourth step of the four-step plan that he started. You'll see that to hire 2 is 91,103, which represents the wages, taxes, and benefits for 25 weeks and certain one-time expenses, if approved. They're going to reduce the operating budget by 91,103, makes a tax impact of 0, but your annual, for these 2 people is $180,700.
But it wouldn't increase by 180, it would only increase by 91. Am I understanding that correctly? Okay. Maybe, I wonder if we
Well,
can
we've
rework.
always been asked to put the total cost for the annual.
Well, I understand that, but if we could maybe add language that it's only increasing it 91,103, because if I didn't ask, you could easily interpret that as this 91,000 request is going to increase it to 180,000. So I have no problem with having the 180 in there, but I would just add, my thought, add something in there stating only increasing 91,000 to a total of 180.
Then
Well, I
you-
think that's what the first line is. Shall the town raise and appropriate 91,103? That's the number.
Not everybody reads through the full thing, they just look for the numbers.
That's the first sentence, 91,103.
Yep.
It's literally the first words.
And then the next couple sentences down will be reduced by 91,000.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't disagree with John. Always been a subject of debate. When we first entered into this, was showing the math was somewhat important, that we were making a reduction in the operating budget. The language of the 180,700 is the annual amount. You're correct, we're gonna reduce that by the 91 and change, which is what, 89, is that what you said, Beth? The feels like is 89 the next year. The way that this is written is the same way that it's been written for the last 3 years. It's something I think we talk about in deliberative session. It's gotten us this far.
Okay.
Hopefully, people will see that, what the tax impact is for this year, and that, got to where the first year cost is 0. Where in the past, the first year cost was like 60-ish, I think. Is that?
It sounds right, yeah.
Set? Moving on?
Yeah.
We're gonna move on to the ambulance, which now you're getting into some of the CIP items are sprinkled through here. Shall the town raise and appropriate $350,000 for the purchase of one fully equipped ambulance for the fire rescue department, with said funds come from the fire department equipment and vehicle special revenue fund with a tax impact of 0. Okay?
Chief, I know it's been talked about in the past. Can you just touch upon, possibly, it says fully equipped, so there's no equipment that'll come off of the replaced ambulance, and the refurbing the box is not an option. Am I correct in saying that?
So the equipment that we will transfer from one truck to another will do. That'll include the life packs, which we are purchasing, the power cot that we purchased probably roughly this time last year. All of that stuff that's portable will go to the new vehicle. The radio will most likely be in new for this, where in the past we've recycled those, but they're 20 years old at this point. And why we don't remanufacture them isn't necessarily, it's kind of a 6 of one, half dozen of the other. You lose the vehicle that you're replacing or remanufacturing for quite a while. So we'll be down an ambulance for arguably 9 months. That's not something that we can afford to do. I don't know, I mean, you're saving the cost of the aluminum, I guess, or the labor that went into building that original box, because they basically gut the whole thing out. So the only thing you're left with is a shell, and you have to remount it on another vehicle. Some places have had good luck with that, and some places have not. And we've found that because, not that money is not an object, and not an object, because it certainly is something that we consider, that the savings that might be there, and it's never really guaranteed until you get to the finish line. The savings that might be there really wasn't worth the fact that we're going to lose our second ambulance, we only have 2, for 9 months or however long it takes to do that.
I guess my only thought behind that question was the shortages we have. There's aluminum shortage, a steel shortage, prices are through the roof.
We're a year out from getting a new one.
Right, and I didn't know if that would save any time, more so than fiscally, if it would save time reusing that where the raw material's already there.
I don't know the answer to that.
I don't know either. It was a thought, because I live it every day.
Sure.
With the shortages, so.
Yeah. I can investigate that and see.
If it's not worth it to this board's discussion, then so be it. It's something I wanted to raise a question about, because I know that, like you said, other departments have had success with that transfer route. Others have not. We've never tried it per se.
Right.
Didn't know if that was even considered.
And I don't know, the one that we're replacing, because it's on that GMC chassis, I don't know how that would translate to something else.
Or something else.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Actually, just brought up one, you are replacing an ambulance, correct?
Correct.
Because the warrant article just says to purchase, it doesn't say to replace.
So should we
yeah.
word that to replace, probably?
I think so.
I think that would probably be our best
Just
interest.
for clarification.
Okay.
To purchase and replace?
Yep.
Okay.
The next article you guys first saw when Chief Vizina was here to do his budget presentation. We talked about the capital area fire dispatch and going in that direction.
Yep.
So this is very long and wordy, you can all read.
But this is what was brought to us by Chief Gilbert, correct? The verbiage?
Most of it, yeah.
Okay.
It's for the 1 quarter of 2022. If approved, they'll reduce the operating budget by $10,152. And this addition will become part of the annual operating budget with an estimate annual cost of $84,237. Okay? Next article is the one that the police chief took to CIP, and you've seen that through the capital improvements. It's to raise and appropriate the sum of $15 for the purchase of one fully equipped police cruiser, which is how it was worded last year.
Okay.
Any questions? He's here. That's his only article.
Same chassis? No, the Chevy Tahoe?
Yes, sir.
That was the only question I had. Just want to know what it was.
Yep, another Chevy Tahoe.
So, well, like I said, maybe you should say standing. Purchased the Tahoe last year.
Mm-hmm.
Outfitted it. Officers have had time in it.
Yes.
You've had time in it.
Not me. They drive it.
Okay.
Very rarely do I drive it.
Feedback.
Nothing but positive. Love the room, love the equipment they can carry. No complaints from prisoners. I guess they get more room too, but absolutely nothing but glowing reviews. Very, very positive.
What was the recall that had to be, the recall work that had to be done?
Lifters?
Really?
They had a lifter recall. I'm pretty sure.
Something like that.
Pretty sure that's what the corporal was telling me. It says the lifter recall.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long was it out of service for?
2 weeks.
Not bad.
Backward
No.
parts. That's
Yeah,
not
no.
bad.
And I want to say the same thing broke in Austin's truck, and it was like a couple months, so we were surprised we got it back in 2 weeks.
Municipality kind of goes in the front of the line.
Yeah,
So,
worked for us.
So it'll be it'll be equipped the same as the current fleet vehicle.
Yes, we'll be equipped the same, and the price is different because this time the computers with it, external antenna, hotspot, and a spotlight. That wasn't the cost last year.
I thought spotlight. Oh, it wasn't on the cost.
Right, because we didn't know it didn't come with the spotlight anymore.
right.
When we got it, we're like, where's the spotlight? And if we added one where they drilled in the frame, it
Yep.
voided the warranty, which obviously we couldn't do, so we had to go to that other one.
Yeah, fender
that we
mount.
did. Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of crazy.
Okay. Okay.
Now, have you checked on availability?
No, that's why it doesn't have a year on it. It'll just be for a new
I
one.
was gonna say, because,
The
may
bid,
be-
bid is showing a minimum of 180 days out
yeah.
Yeah.
for any vehicle right now.
Oh, there's no doubt. Yeah. That's why we didn't put a 4/8,
Yeah.
2020,
I was
whatever.
gonna say, because
And this one,
maybe 23 or 20.
this is an addition or replacement?
What it would have been replacing has already been disposed of.
So this
It's a
is-
vacancy.
Okay. All right.
Probably awarded to replace a vehicle already retired.
Correct.
Yes, previously retired.
Yep.
Correct.
Probably just include that verbiage somewhere in there.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, the next one is the transfer station. Benji'd like to start a special revenue fund for the transfer station. And it's to adopt the provision of 3195C to restrict 50% of the recyclable revenues to expenditures for the purpose of transfer station capital, equipment and capital projects. Such revenues and expenditures will be accounted for in a special revenue fund to be known as the Transfer Station Recyclable Special Revenue Fund, separate from the general fund. Any surplus in said fund shall not be deemed part of the general fund accumulated surplus and shall be expended only after a vote by the legislative body to appropriate a specific amount from said fund for a specific purpose related to the purpose of the fund or source of the revenue.
That sounds like a lawyer wrote that.
Sound what?
Sounds like a lawyer wrote that.
That was Beth. No, I'm just kidding.
Close. Close
No, it's
enough.
probably, I mean, we get wording from DRA, so.
All right.
You have any questions on that?
The intent is for building repairs, maintenance?
No, it's equipment and capital. It's equipment.
So the,
Okay.
the balers,
It could be the balers, it could be
packer, could
probably
be
the compactor, or the skid steer, or
the trailers.
trailers.
Or a new tractor. That whole unit.
Okay.
that whole-
I guess the second question is when are we gonna start doing it again? If that's what they want, if the recyclables are going to be utilized to purchase, to use their revenue, as of right now, most of them go right in the hopper.
I thought he said only plastic was going in.
Right, but doesn't that generate money?
Not right now.
No, nothing.
Not,
no.
I don't think all of them.
Okay.
No, but
I don't
they're
know.
sending metals out.
Aluminum.
Well, I know the metal and the aluminum and tin, stuff
and
like
we-
that.
and we
That
hang on
paper's
to-
gone up again.
Yeah.
Hang on to paper cardboard until it's worth sending.
Okay, all right. I mean, whatever is gonna, just, it's gonna, obviously gotta be
It's a
clear.
market.
It's gotta be clear
Market-driven.
whatever's gonna be contributing to the fund, that's all.
Well, it's only the recyclable revenues.
Well, plus
Only half of-
recyclables too.
Half of it.
50% of it.
Yeah.
Right,
Well, gotcha.
okay.
10-wheel dump truck, same wording, just different amount, $260,000,
What was it last year?
230.
230.
30,000 has gone up?
Yep.
Yep.
The steel in the bodies has
He's gonna
gone
be
right
a
out of
year out
sight.
as well.
So
At least.
it
I
could be
think
even
he's
more
gonna
than
be-
that?
No, he'll be another year out.
Yeah,
Tenco doesn't install bodies anymore, so he'd have to buy, if he goes Tenco like we've done in the past, he's gonna have to take it to,
Fairfield.
yeah, HP Fairfield, and they're the only game in town right now doing installs, so they're gonna be very backlogged.
that's after a year to get the chassis.
Yep.
So that's not gonna be a 2022 purchase.
Right, that's why we didn't stick a year to any of it,
Right.
because you don't know. We don't know. So the next one, I didn't know what to call it. It's the larger 1-ton. I mean, I don't want to
Medium duty.
classify.
Medium, yeah.
Yeah, medium duty.
Medium duty.
And basically to replace the one that went up in flames the other day
Right.
with what we bought in the past year or two.
So it's a,
It's probably,
for the purpose is gonna be for purchasing one fully equipped medium duty replacement vehicle. Does that sound right?
Something sounds off in the word.
yeah, it does. Purchasing one medium-duty highway vehicle?
Replacing one.
Replacing.
Yeah,
Take out purchasing and put replace.
yeah,
Purchase, yeah,
purpose of replacing.
replacing. So was the truck totaled?
I don't think so.
No, I think this was it, was it a cab fire? No.
Yeah, harness fire underneath the cab or
Yeah.
something, yeah.
Which unfortunately they got out.
So the next one is Road Creek Construction, same article you've seen, other than you went to 575 from 525 for the CIP. And I did include the two numbers, just so somebody can do that. Okay? Yeah. Master plan, see if the town will vote to establish a master plan update capital reserve fund under the provision of 35-1 to begin funding the update of the master plan. Raise and appropriate sum of $20,000 to be placed in the fund. Further, name the Board of Selectmen as agents to expend from the fund. When it came before the CIP, if you'll remember, the anticipation or the plan was to do $20,000 a year for 22, 23, and 24. Not to say that if they can get some work done in between, it's not gonna wait till 24 to do it, because the last one, as mentioned earlier tonight, was 2005.
Yeah, those times.
So it's pretty old right now.
How much did it cost back when that started?
Oh, we'd have to look,
I
but,
didn't think $80,000 to $100,000 for a master plan seemed right, but I don't.
this is 60, so,
Okay. So $60,000 for a master plan seems,
well, again, you have a volunteer planning board, you're gonna hire it out, it's gonna cost you.
Yeah, it's a service.
If you're gonna hire someone to do the update, so.
that's why I was just curious how much it was when we did it in the early 2000.
Calculate some inflation to it.
So let's skip the next one for
I'm only-
conversation pieces. The forester, the conservation wants to do a forester article. Only no putting money into a fund to purchase land, because I think we're pretty much out.
Yep.
So that's the same wording you've seen for $30,000 for the forester. Then they also sent in a request, and this is something that I think you guys need to look at. There's a request that there's 2 town-owned pieces that we took for tax deed, and they'd like it turned into conservation land to be managed by the Conservation Commission. I won't give you my personal opinion, but I can. This is the first one, this is actually the second one listed. It's right over, it's called Brook Road, but it's over towards Hemlock, and what I did is I highlighted or circled in red what the town already currently has over there. And Barden's was the one that we just bought, he's down in the corner.
96, yeah.
96. So it does link nicely to the conservation area that's already there.
Yeah, that one does, yeah.
That does. This one here, not so much. This is a piece of land that we took off of Mount William Pond Road. There is nothing in conservation or town around it. So I'm not sure the value of turning it into conservation when there's houses all around it.
Yeah, that one doesn't seem to make much sense. to me.
There's nothing around it that's linked to it as there is to that one.
That one makes sense.
Yeah,
One makes a
it's
lot
all
of sense.
connected, yeah.
Yeah, that one to me makes sense. But this 408, 129 really doesn't,
No, there's nothing around it.
no.
And what's the acreage on that?
19 and a half. This
Messed
one
up.
is, this one here has 39.
That's quite a ways down on Mount, on,
Oh, it's way down.
yeah, I thought it
I
was,
see who the former one was.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I thought it was
Yeah.
considerably way down.
So, it's up to you. That was the request for both, if you want to use one or none, or whatever you'd like to do.
Do we have a little bit of time? And when I say that, can we bounce an email to the Conservation Commission and ask them the value of turning this into conservation? This 408, 129?
I mean, you can.
As a board.
They're meeting next Wednesday.
Yeah,
Wednesday.
I don't wanna hear one individual's take on it, I wanna hear the commission's take on this parcel only. That one is a given, as far as
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
concerned.
yeah. So this one's okay.
Wanna look at it?
But this one makes, I wanna know the reason.
Okay,
As one member.
yeah, of
I
course.
mean, if the other members don't want to hear from him, that's fine, but to me, there's nothing around that makes sense. And I take it parcel number 4 is Mount William Incorporated? Yeah.
Is there any other conservation?
No.
So
No.
this doesn't leak anything? It doesn't add on to anything?
No.
Right. So that's why I'm requesting
Yep.
that conservation say why they want this one.
Well, what you're gonna do is we're gonna have to come up with some sort of a,
If not, we sell it.
yeah, you can hold an auction too. I'm sure there's some interest. We have a little bit of time. 'Cause
Yeah.
they're gonna meet next week, but you're gonna have to finalize your warrant articles at your public hearing.
That's fine.
So that's the 17th as well.
Well, I think we can make a decision once we hear from them.
Right, but it'll be that night.
Yeah, it's fine.
So, your all veterans credit I threw on here. It's basically, shall adopt the provisions of RSA 7228B and all veterans credit, tax credit. If adopted, the credit will be available to any resident or the spouse or surviving spouse of a resident who one served not less than 90 days of active service in the armed forces of the United States and was honorably discharged, or an officer honorably separated from services is not eligible, I spelled wrong, for receiving a tax credit under RSA 7228 or 7235. If adopted, the credit will grant $500, the same as the standard or optional tax credit voted by the town under RSA 7228.
There's varying amounts that can be,
Well, the one we did for the standard is 5, the surviving spouse is 2,000,
okay?
but the veterans credit is 500. Would you like,
Is that all that's allowed by
would
the
you like
RSA?
more information on that too?
I would, please,
Yeah.
yes.
I can
Because,
provide you more.
We gotta get the order right in the positions.
Yes, I do. I just tossed it together. So let's hop back to the last item I want to talk about is the radio communication lease. So, we're down to the end to figure out what we want to do. You can, if you bond, you have to hold a public hearing for a bond. You can lease in a municipal lease in this situation. A municipal lease doesn't have to have a public hearing with the bond. But as you remember on those sheets, that gentleman showed us that night, that your new number for the total system is $1,400,543.
and that was with fire sticking with
Capital
Goffstown.
area.
No, that was capital.
Capital.
It was with
That was
capital?
capital.
Okay,
If they stick with Goffstown, it's $1,580,971.
okay.
So, and then you had the option of how many years you want to finance.
Right.
And I know you also want to talk about putting down some money.
Correct.
Yeah.
So,
Sounds like a used car deal.
huh?
Sounds like a used car deal over here.
Yeah.
Go put some money down.
So, I've left you a blank. It says you'll authorize the selectmen to enter into a blank year lease. In the amount of blank, you have to pick between the two. For the purpose of leasing all the equipment for I called it the Town Radio Communication Network for Emergency Services. That's what the whole
I
thing
would-
was called.
I think that's pretty good.
And to raise and appropriate the sum of blank for the first year's payment for that purpose, but I can't come up with a payment until you tell me how long you wanna do it and how much you wanna do it for.
I mean,
I really wanted a full board for this discussion. but-
yeah, I do too. I mean, to put the numbers in.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so it's gonna arrive at a public hearing,
Yeah.
but you gotta give me some idea. What do you want me to do?
I mean, I'm not.
I can't
saying
leave it
we-
blank.
I'm not saying we short track it, the 3 years, but
No,
I also.
I'm saying pull it out the full 10, which is gonna be the least amount of tax impact, just spread out as far as we can. Cause that was 10 years, if we put all ARPA, all 900 plus thousand towards it.
Yeah, see, they gave you the price they gave you the price on full board.
Correct.
Right.
So tell me what you want for options, and I gotta go get some numbers.
So my wish is that we would use seeing as how we've PO'd everything else, we have no other requests coming for us that initially were for the ARPA. Put all that ARPA money towards the down payment for the radio system, all 900 plus thousand.
But we don't have it yet.
We can't, right.
We have half.
You aren't gonna have it in March, though. I mean, can we promise something we don't have? I didn't think so.
No.
See, I don't think you can promise what you don't have.
Right.
That's
So
part of the
You
problem.
only can
So-
put half of it down.
So can we put what we have in hand down on it? And then at a later date, when said other funds arrive, is there prepayment penalty?
Can we?
And can we, that's something we're gonna have to talk to Motorola about, I understand that, but when that money comes in, can we dump it to the principal?
That's a lot of questions I don't,
yeah, you can use it to make your payments annually.
yeah, you could do that. You could
But
make,
we would have to spend all that ARPA money by 2026, yes?
Oh, you have to have it earmarked.
Earmarked or spent? I thought
you had to have it spent.
I thought it was spent.
But the second,
Spent if you're promising.
the second installment's, what, 400-ish?
Should be the same, 475.
You're gonna have that spent in 2 or 3 years, probably, in payments.
How do we word the article without even having a contract on this one, though?
That I don't know. I think this is where DRA and Laura come involved.
But this has got the wrong number, I can't use those numbers.
So,
They updated the number.
so what,
That,
This is still
that the
got the old
percentage may have changed now, too, so.
that's a calculator, not a calendar, there we go. So you're saying our next meeting is the 17th? I think we need to meet the 10th and clear some of this up.
Just work on this.
Just work on this item and
Yeah.
the other, we were talking about, the Conservation
You
Commission.
won't be, they don't meet till the 12th.
Okay, they don't meet to the 12th?
No,
That's
that's that
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Maybe
Well, we can at least talk about the
Then
radio.
maybe we meet Thursday.
Thursday.
Thursday is out for me.
I think we need to meet before that scheduled meeting.
13th planning board's here, so I'm here anyway.
I mean,
so-
the conservation thing probably be a pretty easy conversation, I would say,
Well, we don't, I mean, we can do that on regular night.
on regular night. But this, I think we need to talk about next Monday.
I'm
On
okay
the
with that.
10th?
Yeah.
Right, so to leave tonight, what exactly am I searching out for you for the 10th?
I think it's a down payment of
475.
Whatever
whatever ARPA is
is.
in hand.
Yep,
And to make sure we can use that other 475 next year without a penalty,
The prepayment penalty,
prepayment penalty.
And then
term.
I want to say 10-year lease. Spread it out as far as we can, so it's minimal tax impact. And the guys and the emergency services still get what we need to.
What do you think?
Well, also depends on what the interest rate at 10 years is, too.
Right.
Kind of have to
yeah,
look
he's
at
got
that.
it way high.
Yeah.
Right, so that's why I was thinking, come back to like 7 or 5.
Yeah.
See what the numbers are.
I still think with the 400 and change bringing it down, that
Number's gonna change.
it's not gonna be, it's
So
gonna be
essentially, ARPA's covering 2/3 of this. We have
Yes.
to go to the voters and ask for the additional
the
third.
additional third, right?
And then what term do we want to finance the other term? The other third?
Bob, where does that leave you if capital, they say no? So I'm just thinking, you're putting it all on the table, I get it.
Right,
What if they say no to capital?
I'm planning on them sticking with Goffstown at this number. the 1.5, whatever it is.
Yeah,
So you're gonna
I-
use the
I-
1.5
plan for
number?
the worst.
I think you need to put in the 1.4 plus whatever the fire piece was to stay in Goffstown, in either in this article or
Add another item.
less so with the capital discussion, because it's already a wordy article to begin with.
Right.
That should,
Article,
if the, yeah, so should the
And
capital
fail.
area pass, you could reduce that
oh, I
big
see where he's
number
going.
Right.
by the
Thank
cost
you.
of the fire
I knew there was
department
a
part of it,
piece I was
right?
missing.
Right, okay, that makes sense. Thank you, Chief.
Which I think is like 200-ish or something.
Yeah, 200, yeah.
Because I think at some point you have to raise the whole, or at least
You do.
talk about the whole number before you can take back us out of it.
Correct, yeah,
It makes ours look better, really.
Thank you.
right,
Right.
capital piece.
okay. All right,
And you'll have an updated sheet for us Monday.
I only have
Monday.
this. This is all I got
but you
from
can
those guys.
contact, not,
Motorola.
yeah, you can
Can
contact
Motorola give
Motorola,
us a-
Scott, right?
Yeah, to give us a breakdown, whether we do.
Yeah, but you have to keep in mind, this finance thing that you're gonna come up with is gonna be a guess.
Oh, it's gonna be a best guess, yes.
Because you have no idea what interest rates are gonna be, you have
Right.
no idea of anything. And interest rates are low now, but they could climb between now and March.
Right, no, it's true, it's a best guess.
Okay.
So are we better off going with a lease through Motorola or a municipal bond?
Or the bond bank.
If you go to the bond bank, you need to say so now, so I can run upstairs and do that warrant article, so I can get it to the newspaper for.
Well, that's why I'm asking, is that
We're
something?
down to like the last few hours here, if we're gonna hold a bond.
But the,
Is the bond rate gonna be better than,
I can't
The-
tell you what the bond rate, I mean, the bond rates have been better for us.
will the bond rates hold?
You won't be able to go out to the bond bank till July, because they do it in January and July. Can't go out till July.
So you don't really know what you're gonna
No,
have.
I mean, no,
So both of them are up in the air, Motorola and the bond bank.
yeah.
As far as where they're gonna lay up interest rates, et
I
cetera.
don't think you're gonna find a company that's gonna hold the number until,
Oh,
March
not,
9th.
not this time.
right.
Yeah, good luck. Yeah,
So, okay.
yeah, good luck holding the number today.
I don't know.
I don't know. I think, I mean, we've had good luck with the bond bank. We've never financed with Motorola before. My gut would say we should probably go with the bond bank.
I think so.
Just because we've had good experience with them, we know how that system works. We're not exactly sure with Motorola. That's my take on it, but I'm only one member.
Yeah, I agree.
But now if you go with the Motorola number, you've locked out anybody else that might wanna bid on it and offer you less.
As far as a lender,
I mean, are they the only ones that supply stuff? It's a huge dollar amount.
it is.
And we quibble over $5,500 sometimes. I just don't know where we're gonna, $1.5 million is a lot of money to reach out just one guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? I wanna be fair.
I mean, there's other radio manufacturers.
I know he spent a lot of time with us. We started this a year or more ago.
Yeah. I mean, there's other radio manufacturers, but you're reinventing the wheel all over again, starting from Jump Street, if you bring Kenwood in.
And are you gonna get
Or,
numbers in the
or
next?
Tate, which is a lesser-known company, but they are in some dispatch centers.
Right, so,
I'm just saying, I just want us to be,
Our portion, if our portion is going to capital, that has to be Motorola by capital's rules. If we want them to.
okay.
there it is.
All right. No,
It's
I
over.
just want all avenues looked at.
If you wanna use ARPA money, you have to go out to bid, you have to follow your purchasing policy to a T by accepting federal funds.
So you're gonna go out to
You have
three
to
different
follow your
people,
You have to get 3 different people.
or at least try to get three.
But we're gonna do that in
Anytime
2
you
weeks.
accept federal money.
We
Yeah.
aren't.
You're not going to in 2 weeks. And the thing is,
How long does it for you to put that out to bid to?
You gotta at least
give
get,
them 90
you gotta get, this isn't like,
90 days?
come look at my air
30 days?
conditioner and give me a price.
yeah, no, I know, yeah,
It's gonna be
it's
at least
very
a month.
involved,
That's gonna kill this warrant article.
yeah, I know.
And to push, I'm just gonna ask this odd question. Push it through this year, we just authorized to spend to do something. We're not even gonna try that. I'm just trying to.
That's only a help, that's not a solution.
Well, we cannot put ARPA money towards a fund. It can
Right.
only be spent.
Right.
It has to be just by the guidelines, which she said it has to be 3 quotes.
Your own purchasing policy.
You have to follow your own purchasing policy, because when we accepted the money, you accept it with the strings.
Yep.
Well, our purchasing policy says we can waive the purchasing policy. Isn't that part of the policy?
Yeah, is that for like sole providers?
I think the chief just said that's if that capital area one passes through, it's a sole provider.
Double check.
That would be
Yeah.
my assumption.
Right, I think you could make a case for a sole source
Right.
provider, because it's either gonna be Motorola or, there's probably only 2 other people out there.
Yeah.
And I think you can make a case of sole source. Whether that holds up, I think it's probably easier for you to, if you get kind of tripped up in that personnel policy, is you're the selectman, you can change personnel policy probably in the next half hour.
Good.
No, I think you have to post it, you have to post a hearing.
Right.
Or a meeting.
But no, I mean, he's not wrong, but on the flip side of it too is,
No, we're trying to make sure we've not locked ourselves in a box there.
right.
And
But
that we've done something wrong.
Right, but I think you could argue the sole, there's only so many vendors, there's only so many emergency service radio vendors, suppliers. There's Motorola, Kenwood, and,
ICOM's out of the game.
yeah, so that's,
Tate's new, but,
so that's it's 2. You can't even get 3.
but capital area only wants Motorola in their network.
Yeah,
And that's who we're using.
yeah,
And that's who we're requesting to use.
right.
I think it's a stretch, but I'll go with it.
I mean, I don't wanna, the thing is though, is I don't wanna put our neck out, say we're gonna use it, and then
Have them take the money away.
have them say no. That's
It's a lot
that's
of money.
that's the whole hinge of this money that I've always said is, I wish that there was some avenue you could say, is this legit? Yes, thank you.
There isn't.
But there is not.
No.
Typical government.
There's all these lines you gotta read through.
Yep.
All right, so, you want,
It's 900.
Yeah.
what?
They did give us 900.
Yeah, I know.
It was nice of them,
So,
with fine print. Lots of it. I think you can argue that.
It's gonna be a hard sell, but like I said,
argue what?
I don't wanna wait another
I think you
year.
can argue sole vendor,
Okay.
I think.
So now you're back to the lease,
How are we financing it?
My gut would say the
not the
bond
bond
bank.
bank. Okay.
My gut would say the bond bank. But I almost thought that Scott mentioned that there was flexibility in pricing if you utilize Motorola. If something came up that wasn't exactly in the verbatim
He
quote,
did say that, but
so
the
that,
numbers he's provided doesn't look like that's too,
it's not very
it's a
flexible.
winning lease rate.
Right. What were the percentages for like the 5, 7, 10?
5 was 276, 7, see that, what I don't understand, it got bigger the longer you went out, 319 and
Higher risk.
359.
Not for a town.
Do we look like?
Well,
we-
no, but
Yeah, I was just gonna
through
say.
Motorola.
Length of the note, yeah, it's for more risk.
So 276 to 359. I think you could refinance with the bond bank. The bond bank takes refinance after you get
Well,
started.
then
So that solves that.
that
We'll go
solves
Motorola.
that.
Because
We go
they
Motorola.
they have done in the past a lot, but they only do it, so in July, you'd have to do whatever, and you could refinance with them, I suppose.
So-
You did that for the middle school, right?
The middle school refinanced the bond there.
So I say we do the Motorola thing then.
Yep.
And refinance.
So you're gonna do a
if
lease
needed.
purchase, so I don't have to worry about the bond.
Right.
So you want a down payment with the ARPA, prepayment penalty, a 10-year lease.
Price on 5, 7, and 10. Just for
Yeah.
giggles.
Yeah, 5, 7, and 10.
Won't take them long to
And
figure
then
that
next
out.
Monday, we'll have hopefully those numbers. I know that they're very volatile as far as, that they're not gonna last long. but at least we'll have numbers in front of us to put on here. Even if we were to put a 5% buffer in there,
Yep.
we'd have the numbers.
And that 1.5 number may change too, because we also
What, Beth?
Prepayment penalties on my list, yep.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
it's,
but not really much.
we're talking the down payment of ARPA,
Yep,
prepayment penalty,
yep,
If there is.
the price on 5, 7, and 10,
Yep.
yep.
and then the other is the wording to reduce if capital should pass.
And I would say, I would give Scott the number minus the ARPA. Because maybe that interest rate will change with a less principal. I don't know, just a thought.
Interest should go up with less principal down.
Whatever, maybe it would, and we need to know that.
So you're thinking no down at all?
No, I'm just wondering, we need to play the game, we need to see what the numbers are.
Okay.
It's a question to ask.
Couldn't hurt to ask.
But I think that 400, I think that what John just says is a valid point. Do we finance all of it up front, the whole ticket,
Well, this is where I'm thinking
and
is,
then put a prepayment on it after the lines are
if you're
signed?
thinking of refinancing in July, you're gonna probably have your money in May,
Right.
right, Beth? Aren't we supposed to get about May?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you do the article minus the 475, whatever, and then you do that article, then when you refinance with a bond bank, you'd have the other.
Right. So you could drop the principal again and have a new number to actually finance.
Just run it with what we have for ARPA today.
Well, no, absolutely. Yeah,
That's all
that's
you
down the
can.
road.
Right.
That's down the road. But yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
we can't run it in March with money we don't have.
Yeah,
No,
finance
he just had a little side conversation about just finance the entire thing at zero down. And I don't think I wanna even explore that option.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
All right. Okay. And then, Chief, are you meeting next Monday night?
Me?
Yeah. Second
Fireworks.
Monday? You guys are meeting?
We can meet upstairs. It's not a big
It's the
deal.
second Monday, is that the second Monday?
I think this
Yes.
is-
I believe it is. Yes.
What time do you guys meet?
6:30?
We can meet
We can meet
upstairs.
upstairs.
We can meet upstairs.
Okay, that's
We
fine.
can meet upstairs. If you have less attendees, if you're having a public meeting, it might be easier for you to be down here.
We can share, I'm sure. 6:30?
It's fine.
In this building? Okay,
Of course.
all right, well, we've got
All right.
some work
So
ahead.
now you got some more questions and answers.
Well, just, we need to have a direction, so. I got
Concerning warrant articles,
a direction now.
there's been multiple requests by multiple people to revisit the ethics committee. And I think it's a very very solid idea, and I would be in favor of having that warrant
They still have
article.
an ethics policy, you
Yep.
just don't have an ethics committee.
Right.
We need to reinstate the ethics committee, and then the question is that going to be appointed or elected?
It
Appointed, I think, before.
No, it was elected and nobody ran, that's why it went away.
Oh, that's,
okay. So are we actually forming a committee or just?
We're gonna have a warrant article because the warrant article got disbanded it.
Right,
Oh, it did. Okay.
you
All right.
disbanded it, but you still left the policy
Okay.
in place.
Yep, that's fine.
I'd like to go ahead and put a warrant article together to reinstate.
And what's your structure?
So, part of me is concerned with the appointment, because then that could easily be argued, or you're appointing people that you want to be on the ethics committee. Flip side of that is if you go elected. you
Nobody runs, it's
no-
empty.
Nobody runs, it's empty, and we've just done that for no reason.
Right.
That's what happened before.
Yep.
Went empty for a lot of years.
Yep. And if we decide to go appointed, what is the criteria? Who's gonna be the choosers? Are we gonna have a panel of elected officials to choose those? And that's something that we'd have to discuss.
Yeah. But I think step one is reinstating the committee.
Well, I think the language of the article is gonna also need to define
Dictate.
how
Okay.
people are gonna be on that committee.
Right.
Because if it's elected, great. So now we've just created it. It's still gonna be another year before it gets used.
Right, because you can't put spots on there
That don't exist.
that don't exist yet.
Correct.
Right.
Or we appoint for the first year, have it a one-year appointment, and then elect.
I can seek legal counsel guidance.
Right.
I think that's the best
We're gonna
one.
do background checks on
I'm
these
gonna
people?
recognize Tom.
I think 2006, Warren had an article that laid that out, so you might use it as a reference. I believe it was 2006.
Okay. And actually, while you're on to that, I brought up another, someone had inquired about, the finance committee, and the reason, just hear me out for a minute. So the finance committee doesn't allow you to sit on the finance committee and run for any office. Could there be, because what comes to mind is, my thought is, if you're gonna be the supervisor of the checklist, why can't you be on the finance committee? If you're gonna run for selectmen or school board, then obviously all games are off. Because you are in charge of budgets and you present to the finance committee. So if you were gonna run for anything other than the selectmen or a school board member, why couldn't you
Or
be on?
trustee. It would have to be something that has no financial decision-making.
I could add the trustee to it, I don't know that they do a lot that has to do with it. They
Right.
just manage our funds.
Right, but on the flip side of it too is what if 3 years down the road, another fiscal committee is made? There has to be some kind of a blanketing umbrella language in there to say that any, I guess it would be any board or committee.
That's an agent to expend.
Yeah, that might work.
I don't know if that's the right language, but it's the intent, is it not?
Yeah.
Just, it's a thought,
But the
because not every
Conserva-
position
Conservation
has
Commission-
any.
But Conservation Commission is an agent to expend their fund, and they don't go to the CIP,
You guys appoint.
so that kind of blankets that out. I would say any board or committee that seeks finance committee guidance, approval,
So that
recommendations.
eliminates damn near everyone.
Yeah.
Because park, I mean, everybody that has a budget goes.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I don't know how you'd word that.
Planning board, they go because they request money.
But they're not an elected official.
Right, they're appointed.
Neither one are.
They're both appointed positions by us.
So only elected positions then?
Well, if you're running for an elected selectman or an elected school board member, you're in charge of your budgets. So why would you be?
Supervisor checklist is elected too, and it doesn't matter.
Cemetery trustees, library trustees, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they're all elected positions.
It's
that
all
don't-
elected, but when
that
you
don't
get,
have any
when you
fiscal
get
impact.
to the finance committee, school boards present to the finance committee, and the selectmen present their budgets to the finance committee. So
Right.
you can't
Yeah.
be a selectman and a finance committee member.
Right.
Can't be a school board member and a finance committee member. That's why I just picked those two out.
No, it's valid. I don't know. I don't know how you'd word that where it'd be.
I mean, I can ask Laura and see what you
Yeah,
guys
see
think.
what she thinks, yeah.
We can talk about it on Monday.
Yeah, we can talk about, yeah, but I think, yeah, that's fine.
That's all I had.
All right,
Thought we were gonna make a short warrant.
yeah. Thought. Nice
Oh,
look
that
at that. Do we, since we're on this topic, do we want to talk about the public comment speakers' suggestions
About,
about the Trails Committee, 25%, et cetera?
I think I'd like to have if.
A full board?
Not only that, but I think we need to have a sit-down with conservation before we even discuss that.
All right,
I think it needs to be a joint discussion.
all right, so next Monday.
But didn't we just give them 2 years?
We, for that, but I
For
think
that
John's
property.
right, for that one, the Barden
Right.
property only.
Yeah.
but before we hop in, this is me. Before you hop into taking and putting 25% away, it sounded like to me was this Trails Committee has got to seek out professionals to see the benefit of the trails, and then have a $5,000 K, but then brought to the voters
Oh.
to spend the $5 K.
There's a lot of moving components in this idea. A lot of moving components. I think it needs to be chiseled down one at a time. Form the committee. How is the committee made? Is it appointed by the selectmen? Okay. And then move on, because like I said, there's so many moving parts of what was discussed tonight. I think it's not something you can just blanket do in 1 year
Well, so they're looking at cutting the funding.
Yeah.
to the Conservation Commission.
Right, so if you're gonna cut the funding
You're not gonna buy-
and you don't know what you're doing with it,
Right,
why are we doing it this year?
right,
Shouldn't be.
right. To me,
It's a conversation that doesn't happen between now and Monday.
no, I think it's something and to start, if anything was gonna go on the ballot this year, it would be to form a committee. That's it.
I think that's where you have to start,
Yeah.
because this committee, with the ideas that I just took down, I don't know if I missed them, I tried writing fast enough, that, is to propose a trail committee or commission at first.
Before we even do that, we already had a trails subcommittee, I believe.
You had a couple people volunteer, they came to the conservation, and they were on for a little while, and then they
But
stopped
If
coming.
if it never disbanded, we don't need to form one.
Right, we just need to kick it, jumpstart it.
Correct. So that would.
But again, it was a subcommittee of the conservation, and it sounds like that's not what's being asked.
That's not the public's intent.
Well, it's not.
The
this
requester's
person-
intent,
The
yeah.
requester's intent.
Yeah.
Because in conservation, they're not, that's why they talked about partnering with Park and Rec.
And that discussion needs to be had with Park too, because they are a very small board with very busy volunteers also. They may not want to take that on because they don't have the people for
It's
it.
gonna be
Right.
involved.
Right,
That's
so
not
we're
a-
gonna take the time and throw a warrant article on there from the hip.
It couldn't be this year. There's way too many moving components, I think. 'Cause
Well,
you
for
gotta
what
meet
was
with-
being asked tonight, yes.
You gotta, to go with former Selectman Lawton's idea.
Yeah.
We have to meet with Conservation Commission, hash that out. We have to meet with Park, see if they even want it.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't, are they gonna fall under Board of Selectmen
Right.
as a subcommittee, or are they gonna stand alone? And then John's idea was to make Selectmen, I believe, agent to expend.
No, it was gonna be,
No,
it was gonna be the commission.
Trails
The-
Committee was gonna
the-
spend.
No, the committee.
Yep.
But then, before they spent, they had to come to town meeting, so that's a one-time $5,000 a year to do something.
Yep.
$5,000, just from my personal experience with Snowmobile Club,
Gonna
doesn't go
anywhere.
far. If you're
Especially
hiring
nowadays.
something to be done, it may
You're-
Not,
you're
not in
talking
that scope of what we're talking
Talking a
about.
couple 100,000 to put in a
I think is,
couple miles. of
is-
trail.
I mean, I
As
appreciate
much-
the concern, and
as much as I agree with Mr. Lawton's idea, and I did when he brought it up years ago as Selectman. I think coming to us in the eighth inning, it's just, we don't have enough time to put something together this year.
Properly.
Yep.
Right.
I
I
think
just think
anything,
there needs
anything
to
we
be
do
more
now is gonna
people
be
involved
haphazard.
in the conversation.
Right. There's more people, like you said, there's more moving parts than just
Mm-hmm.
forming it and being done with it.
I'd like to revisit this, April.
April.
Yeah. That gets us past our budgets, our silly season.
Yeah.
If there is going to be new selectmen, or select woman,
Yep.
elected this year, then I think that's something that we need
We
to
can
discuss.
move on from there, yeah.
Yep.
So revisit, when did you say?
April.
Pending any nightmares that develop between now and then.
No.
I just think there was an awful lot, I didn't understand.
There was a lot of moving parts
Yeah.
put in that, in that whole
He put a lot of
concept.
thought into it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's just not enough time on
And
his
maybe to address another public comment is put a few signs out in a parking spot.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah, that's the little thing. You
And
know,
if-
the
and I
low hanging
mean,
fruit.
And that,
If they could identify what they wanted to do from a conservation commission standpoint, say, put a parking lot here. We can have Benji and his guys on the slow time, go knock down some trees and just, and
Limp-
grade
limp
out a
some
quick
stuff
parking
and-
spot.
yeah.
I mean, we may have to go to,
Well, you
to the
could,
state to get a driveway permit, but whatever, we can handle that.
right.
you don't have to, because I mean, I've hiked in there a few times up on Poor Farm, and that trail's been in, it needs maintenance now,
But
but
that's just,
You can
as,
pull
as
over on the
select,
side of
as,
the road. There's
as
no
John Lawton
traffic
said
there.
though, that's one property. We have how many thousands of acres?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
you
And
can go to
anybody-
Felch Farm,
10%.
I'd mountain bike that.
Okay,
Felch
there's
Farm
two, but-
had trails, because you had an ATV club that did a good
Yeah.
job out there.
Yeah.
And that went away, so probably the remnants of where they went in the trails
It's still there.
might still be there.
But they need to
there's-
trim back,
Like I said,
et
there's way
cetera.
too many moving parts to figure this out in
3 weeks.
in a couple of weeks, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I 100% agree with the idea, the premise,
Yep.
just
There's a lot of moving parts to it.
can't get it done in that short period of time, not with everything else we got going
Trying
on.
to have a well-thought-out plan. You know, I understand it.
Yep.
Yeah.
A little better now than I did.
Yeah.
It's not just a mere 25% to go in a fund.
Right.
That's not the idea behind it. It was a whole bunch of other things come with it.
Okay.
Maybe invite Mr. Lawton back in April, and we can have a broader, in-depth discussion that we can put on the agenda.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
And then maybe we can invite Conservation Commission. We can have a dedicated meeting for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Conservation Commission, Park, because they were
Yep.
mentioned.
Yep. Mr. Lawton and this board and,
And anybody else that likes
Anybody else that
to
would
hike.
like to come in? Yep. I think we have a dedicated meeting one night just for that.
Okay.
Because I think it's been brought up many years now.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Multiple times, and
yeah, and he's not wrong saying the can's been kicked down the road. He's not wrong at all.
I agree.
But like you
And
said.
it's not locked up, though.
No.
They're allowed to use it.
In the eighth inning, though, I think it's a little bit late, like you said.
But, you know what I mean, there's Boy Scouts that go camping, there's,
Yeah. Yeah,
there's a
they're-
lot of things happen.
yeah, they're not just sitting vacant. There's activity.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, anything else? Town warrant?
Nope.
Okay. Manifest. Move to order the treasurer to sign payroll and accounts payable checks dated January 6, 2022, as included in the following manifest. Payroll manifest, $88,035.56 for weekly and fire monthly payroll. Ooh. Accounts payable manifest, $56,437.18. Supplemental accounts payable manifest, $4,171.10, for a total of $148,643.84. As there is no meeting, I'm not gonna say that, because we're meeting.
Okay.
So, move, is there a second?
Second?
Move and seconded, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
I vote that we skip the minutes.
Yeah,
Okay. Brings us to your report.
yeah.
By skipped, you meant tabled. Very well.
Okay, sure, we'll go with that.
All that.
Hang on, I gotta get to it. Couple things. Let's see. If you couldn't smell when you came in the entryway, painting's going on.
What, oh,
Actually, I didn't smell it.
You couldn't smell it?
No. Maybe I got
Okay.
maybe I got the COVID. It's a joke.
I'm just kidding.
Don't glare at me like that.
Okay,
We will if we want.
Not you, shut up, you.
radio communication, as we know, is still open. Forestry, I gotta get that ironed out, just 'cause we're January now. ARPA, that's open only because of the radio number.
Right.
We haven't done anything with Collins Cemetery or the cemetery trustees, 'cause we have not seen anything in writing yet.
Okay.
The town clerk called them and said we need something in writing. The warrant articles you did. Vehicle, you're gonna have a public hearing on January 24th.
What time? Is it 6:30 normal time?
Yeah. I usually do it like 6:45 only because we can get started just in case.
Is that the only thing we're gonna have planned for that evening? Or is that a
You never know.
Or is that a regular business?
24th?
No, it was the only thing.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'll always post it with other business just in case. Ex officios, I do know, I don't think anybody's met since we met.
No, the Christmas tree did come down.
Saw that, it looks nice.
We got pictures sent around in Park of the couple that used it for their wedding, just before Christmas.
Cool.
The park also,
Delivered baskets.
delivered, Christmas baskets, if you will, to some seniors in town also.
Very
that were
nice.
That were on the list.
Very nice.
Nice, very nice. A couple, things that are on your list, we're gonna be soon searching the unpaid taxes. So we've always contracted with, Jane Sanders Searches. So
This is to find any lien holders, et
it
cetera.
finds the lien holders, doesn't really take a motion, it just, she sent it early on, she highlighted the date, but not to confuse the 2 years, because this is good till December of '22. So you guys can sign that. And then, as part of our, new staffing, you have a new E911 liaison. Wendy was the 911, Mary Ann's gonna be the 911. So with that being said, we need to, and we never had a secondary one. So to fill the form out, she put my name in, which I don't ever have to do it, but to fill the form out, so I'd like you to authorize Mary Ann, and it's one person's signature.
So moved and
You need just
and
one signature on this?
No, everybody needs
Everyone.
to sign it.
All right.
so moved and authorized Chairman Hippler to sign.
Moved, is there a second?
Yeah, second,
Moved, seconded, all in favor?
Yes.
yes.
Abstain. I'll take it.
When you get down under the building, the only, Tim Maskell's working away at it. The East Weare Fire Station, I meant to ask him. I don't know that Irving's been out there unless somebody can tell me. I don't go that way.
I didn't see
I
anything
think we're
when I
waiting
drove
on
by, but I
Irving.
assume that they're behind. the
Yeah,
tanks
and
are
I went
behind.
down towards River Road, Riverdale. I haven't seen any markers out, but it's been days that those guys wouldn't have been there. It was a weekend.
So, question on the tanks for East Ware.
Yes.
Is that gonna be over the property line in the back? I don't know how big, isn't that cookie cutter lot, or is that South Ware where the water drips on the property line?
South Weare is tight, I know, I don't know about
South Ware's
East
tight,
Weare.
East Ware's tight, but I would have thought, don't they put them near the building?
They're like 10
They put them
feet.
right next to the building, but again, if it's dripping on the property line, that's pretty close to the building as well. So I would want to confirm the lines before we set tanks. If we have to set them on the side of the building rather than the back, that's my only concern.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
If we're so concerned about the tanks, we also have to look at placement of the towers that Motorola's
Oh, we knew that's tight,
Right, but don't we own towards the stone wall from the building?
off the top of my head.
I'm pretty sure we own towards the
To the stone wall, that's the
I just want to
boundary.
make sure before we put up a 100-foot
Yes.
tower, we're not putting it in the wrong spot.
Yeah,
That would
What's
be
your
bad.
concern about that?
It's already going to be one hell of an eyesore, unfortunately.
we don't want to upset
Actually, I
people.
don't think it'd be that bad.
100 feet up where there's nothing to mask it.
This one.
There may be a few complaints,
Let's see.
but
Naomi, you got a sexton that resigned, and now you're working with a sexton for a smooth transition?
No, she resigned, but we're working with her for the smooth transition.
Oh, okay,
I don't have anybody if you know
okay,
anybody.
that's what I was,
But right now, it's kind of quiet, so.
yeah.
There's nothing you can't do this time of year,
No, you're
so.
done until the end of April.
That's right. Oh, I think that's all I had. I do have another question. There's been a request. Hang on. So there's been a request from the Conservation Commission to, right here, went on Sunday. There's been a request for us to go to hybrid. Have 4 people here in the room and the rest with Zoom. How
Oh,
in
like-
God's earth do you do that?
Conservation?
Yeah. First of all, they attached the guidance, which was emergency 12, which was authorized on March 13th, 2020, and extended 21 times, and it's now expired.
how many people are on the Conservation Commission?
7.
7.
Okay, so they want 4 here in the building? That's a quorum. It doesn't matter what they do with the other 3. Sure, go for it.
Well, it's not just that, it's to allow the forester and the forester apprentice to tune in via Zoom.
That's fine.
My question to you is, how do you reproduce that?
What do you mean, how do you
It doesn't work that way, we haven't got that to work that way yet. Doug's working on, but you're saying I could plug that in, and you're gonna see their faces here?
Why
Should
wouldn't
be able
you?
to.
Why wouldn't you?
Wouldn't you see it like you did it when we did Zoom on?
You share your screen via the HDMI cable.
The only difference is that the camera, you would have to have a separate camera like you did when we were doing Zoom before.
Yeah, and they're not gonna be able to hear them.
It would
Once I
have to be
plug
tapped
in.
in, it would have to be tapped in.
Yeah, see, that's what
We
I
don't
mean.
have the technology set up in place today to do that.
No, we don't.
Get some speakers right there.
That's a little archaic, but
Yeah, but
I
they're still
know.
up to an aux wire.
I know,
imagine
but
there's probably
that,
speakers in that,
that
too.
is so that you can hear them,
Right.
but when you guys talk, they can't hear you, because I've plugged into something that takes away the volume.
With the right camera, you can. With a, not the tripod that you have, but with a, one that you just clip on top of a monitor screen.
So you've left everything in person, and now you got a request to make an alteration. Are you gonna make an alteration or you're not? That's the bottom line, I think.
Well, let me
If
ask,
you're gonna do it for one, you may end up having to do it for all.
well, and that's that's a possibility as well, but are we gonna not have a 7-member commission because of it, if we say no? I don't know, it's a thought, just a,
I don't know. I just don't know technology-wise how you could do it.
You'd have to have somebody here to man the electronics to make that happen.
yes, absolutely.
But it's my understanding that one of the 4 has to be the chair,
Here,
according to this thing
Here.
that he documented.
yeah, here,
Yeah.
to facilitate it, yes.
Who sent that to you, Andy?
As Steve and Andy talked to each other, and then Andy, he said, "Hi, Andy, should we consider a hybrid meeting in January? If we can get 4 members in person, it would be allowed. Only if you allow it. 4 members makes a quorum. I don't have to open up a Zoom."
No, you gotta.
They can do it via phone.
Yeah, they can do phone calling, yeah, that would work,
We've done that in the past.
Yeah.
For ourselves here.
yeah, they can do
'Cause
phone
it
calling.
goes on to say, during an emergency or a situation, immediate action is imperative. And then it says if no emergency exists, but one or more members of the body wish to participate remotely, states that the public body may allow remote if in person is not reasonably practical.
There have been times I've called in, there's times Selectman Osborne's called in, Selectman
I've called
Hitler's
in.
called in, Jack's called in.
We're not set up to do the whole Zoom
We're not set
thing.
up to do Zoom.
It's
that's
either
correct.
all Zoom or here.
Right,
Yep, and if we do Zoom, that means that you have to take time out of your schedule to
man, yeah, to
administer it.
babysit, to administer it, yeah.
You work enough already.
I come to their meetings anyway, just to keep things smooth transition, but
Right,
to be able to,
but it's one more thing you'd have
but
to
to
add on.
try to run the Zoom, run it on here,
Call in.
run it here,
Call in.
call in.
They can call in.
If
They-
they got,
they-
if somebody wants to voice.
If they have 4 here, and there's gonna be 3 call-ins, they got 3 of these.
Because you gotta be able to, the whole idea is to rebroadcast, which Zoom worked perfect for.
Yep.
Or here
Yeah,
works
and that
perfect
works
for.
perfect too, so, yeah.
Yeah.
I would say just call in, like you said.
Yeah, we're working on getting the live stream. Doug's working on it.
Because we don't have that technology yet.
Not yet.
I think the answer is no.
And I agree, having live stream on YouTube, the SAU does that.
Right.
They do an awesome job with it.
Right.
I'd like to figure out what they're using and how
And
much.
Doug's working on that. I
Okay,
talked to him
that's the part
today.
he's working on, okay.
Yeah, I talked to him today. He's working on that, but we're not there today.
Yep.
And when
Not
we
to say
get,
that we won't get there, we're not
and
there
when we do get
today.
there, we can then offer.
Yeah,
Well, no, because that's still one way. It's not two-way on YouTube.
streaming just so you can watch it.
Yes,
So you can watch it.
correct.
Yeah. I mean, but they want to hold this hybrid meeting that takes more than me to operate.
They've got
Hybrid
4
can be
people
phone,
here. They can have their
which
meeting.
is already legal
Guys,
under,
yeah.
under the previous RSA's.
Just put it in the minutes that, you know,
Attending via phone.
right, the 3 who attended via phone, that's all.
Yep. And then we don't have to approve anything. That's just,
Yeah. So,
And if there's not 4, you don't have a meeting anyway. So.
right, because you need a quorum.
in person.
Right,
I'll stay home.
Okay. All right.
okay, that's it,
That's all I got, other than we do have to go into non-public
okay,
at the end under C.
good, because I have one as well. Okay. Anything else from the board? No. All right, move to go in non-public on RSA 91A3, Roman numeral 2C. Moved and seconded, all in favor? Roll call, yes?
Yes.
Yes, we'll be adjourning afterwards. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful night.